Trust to establish 8 JC STEM labs. The inauguration ceremony today is to express our gratitude and appreciation for the trust. First, may we please invite Professor Wing-Tak Wong, Deputy President and Provost, to give an opening address. Professor Wong, please.
Ms. Zhang, esteemed scholars, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the inauguration ceremony of PolyU Jockey Club STEM Labs. Representing a significant milestone, I would like to express my immense gratitude to the Hong Kong Jockey Club Charity Trust for their generosity, which has allowed us to establish these state-of-the-art laboratories. I also wish to offer my warmest congratulations to the Hong Kong Jockey Club on its 140th anniversary. Throughout its enormous history, the Jockey Club has played a vital role in shaping the development of Hong Kong and has also been a steadfast supporter of local education and valuable partners to universities in creating positive social impact. The Trust established the JC STEM Lab initiative in 2021 to support the laboratory set up for the awarded scholar under the government-initiated Global STEM Professorship Scheme. The two initiatives complement each other, expanding in innovations and technologies talent pool of Hong Kong in the long run and strengthening the capacity of the university in broadening and delve in applied research and application. PolyU has received a generous support of 74.3 million to establish 8 JC STEM labs. The labs are dedicated to a range of innovative research fields, including genomics, digital oncology care, and eye disease in the area of healthcare, quantum materials and machine learning technologies in the area of engineering, as well as Earth observations and AI technologies in the area of sustainability and climate issues. I am tremendously eager to see the inventive solutions that will arise from these JC STEM labs and how they will bring meaningful contributions to the research advancement in Hong Kong and beyond. Taking this opportunity, I would also like to share with you that this year marks PolyU's 30th anniversary of achieving university status. This milestone occurred at a time of great success and growth for our university. For example, recently we were ranked as the 57th best university in the world according to QS. The accomplishments, along with the launching of JC STEM Labs, exemplify our dedications to world-class education and research. Once again, we sincerely thank the Jockey Club for their tremendous support and wish the JC STEM Labs every success in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Wong. Please be seated. Now, may we please invite Ms. Elsie Zhang, Executive Manager, Charities, Talent and Sector Development of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, to say a few words. Ms. Zhang, please.
Professor Wong, JC STEM Lab directors and faculty members, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, I'm very honored to commemorate this significant milestone between the Hong Kong Jockey Club and the Polytechnic University in advancing the scientific development of Hong Kong. Over the years, the club and the Polytechnic have a very long-term partnership to tackle some of the social challenges. And we build a qualitative, inclusive kindergarten education to benefit all children, especially the ethnic minority. We also promote the age-friendly city to benefit all the citizens in Hong Kong, especially our senior. And in a very recent collaboration, and we also promote the assistive technology to empower our students with disability to live a dignified life. And our partnership continue in this STEM development. And it is very important. We live in a very rapidly changing world. And the promotion of STEM is a very much needed investment and will generate much needed social value. Its knowledge and application will help tackle some of the global challenges. And also, it also changed the society by empowering people to be more flexible, to look for patterns, to make connection and evaluate information. And the goal of promoting STEM is also very important to broaden participation of women and ethnic minorities. So I think this is really important, and that's the reason why the Hong Kong Jockey Club will support the STEM Lab. And it is not only to complement the government effort in advancing the scientific research, but also from a philanthropic perspective, we also want to actualize the greater social impact to raise social awareness and build a talent pipeline. So that's the reason why Hong Kong Jockey Club funded the STEM Lab. Philanthropy is the business of hope, and we think we can together make Hong Kong a better city. As Professor Wong said, this year is our club 140th anniversary. And I think that today's event is a very important occasion that is worth of celebration. And on behalf of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, I congratulate all the 8 STEM directors. And also, I want to particularly thank Professor Wong and your office for very effective coordination of this STEM lab. And I wish we can continue the partnership for betterment of Hong Kong. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Please stay seated. Moving on, let's now take a look at our 8 JC STEM labs with a brief introduction video. Thank you to our researchers who make a significant impact on society both locally and globally to innovate. May we now please invite Ms. Elsie Zhang to present plaques and pins to our lab directors. Ms. Zhang, please. May we first invite Professor Chow Lap Pui, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Machine Learning and Computer Vision, to come up on stage. Professor Chow, please. Thank you, Ms. Deng. Please face our photographer at the front. We would also like to invite Professor Chow's team members to come up for a group photo, please. Please face our photographer. Thank you, Professor Chow. May he and his team members please stay seated. Thank you. Next, may we please invite Professor Chen Qingyan, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Healthy Built Environment, to come up on stage. Professor Chen, please. Please face our photographer at the front. We would also like to invite Professor Chan's team members to come up on stage for a group photo. Please face the photographer and stand a bit closer. Thank you. May Professor Chen and his team members please be seated. Now, we would like to invite Professor He Mingguang, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Innovative Light Therapy for Eye Diseases, to come up on stage. Professor He, please. Please face the photographer at the front. We would also like to invite Professor He's team members to come up on stage to take a group photo. Thank you. Please face the photographer. Thank you. May Professor He and his team members please be seated. Moving on, we would like now to invite Professor Liu Aichun, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Quantum Technology, to come up on stage. Professor Liu, please. Please face our photographer at the front. May we now please invite Professor Liu's team members to come up on stage for a group photo. Thank you. May Professor Liu and his team members please be seated. Next up, we would like to invite Professor Lo Camping, Director of the JC STEM Lab of 2D Quantum Materials, to come up on stage. Professor Lo, please. Please face our photographers at the front. We would also like to invite Professor Law's team members to come up on stage for a group photo. Thank you. Please face the photographer. May we please invite Professor Law and his team members to stay seated. Thank you. Moving on, we would like to invite Professor Wen Qihao, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Earth Observations, to come up on stage. Professor Wen, please. Please face our photographer at the front. Now we would like to invite Professor Wen's team members to come up on stage for a group photo, please. Please stand closer and face the photographer. May we now please invite Professor Wen's team and his Professor Wen to sit seated on below. May we now please invite Professor Janelle York, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Digital Oncology Care Enhancement, to come up on stage. Professor York, please. Please face the photographer. May we now please invite Professor York's team members to come up on stage for a group photo. Thank you. Please stand closer and face the photographer at the front, please. Thank you, Professor York and your team members. Please be seated. Last but not least, may we please invite Professor Zhang Weixiong, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Genomics in Healthcare, to come up on stage. Professor Zhang, please. Please face our photographer at the front. We would also like to invite Professor Zhang's team members to come up on stage for a group photo. Thank you. Please stand a bit closer and face the photographer. Thank you, Professor Zhang and his team members. Please stay seated. May we now please invite the lab directors, Professor Chow Lap Pui, Professor Chen Qingyan, Professor He Mingguang, Professor Liu Aichun, Professor Luo Camping, Professor Wen Qihao, and Professor Janelle York, and our senior management team members, Professor Wing Tak Wong, Dr. Miranda Liu, Executive Vice President, and Dr. Laura Low, Associate Vice President, Institutional Advancement, and Ms. Elsie Zhang, to join the group photo, please. Please stand a bit closer and face our photographer at the front. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, there will now be a presentation by each of the JC STEM Lab Director. May Professor Chow remain on stage for the presentation, please. The other guests, please be seated. Spearheaded by distinguished PolyU scholars selected for the HK SAR government-initiated Global STEM Professorship Scheme. These 8 labs will be instrumental in enabling our researchers. Now, let's welcome Professor Chow Lap Pui, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Machine Learning and Computer Vision. Professor Chow, please.
Good afternoon. Shall I start now? Okay, it's my great pleasure to be supported by the Jockey Cup as well as our government and our university to provide genius support to set up the STEM lab. So I'm going to introduce the work for our lab. Okay, the main purpose for our research is to build the new interaction between human as well as the intelligent agents. What is the intelligent agent? You can consider intelligent agent is the agent that can answer most of the questions that we ask and provide intelligent answer to us. And also the interaction between the society, the intelligent agent, as well as our human. So we conduct research to try to empower the smart manufacturing, mobility, education, as well as community wellness. Currently, our team members, we have 19 team members, including one research assistant professor, 4 postdocs, as well as a number of PhD students and master's students. And we also train a number of final year project students. Okay, one of our main research is egocentric vision. So if you look at the left-hand side, then you can see that actually what we are going to do is we need to wear the glass. This glass actually used to capture the video or capture the scene that usually our human can see. So for example, one application is if we wear the glass, then this glass can try to recognize, for example, one day how many cups of water we drink. And especially for an elderly person, sometimes they cannot remember whether they have taken the medicine in the morning. Then if we ask this intelligent agent that connected to this glass, then this intelligent agent can tell us, actually, you haven't taken the medicine. So this intelligent agent, through the glass input, then we can record all the daily activities and provide a summary. Okay, here we have some video demo to show, but I cannot. So, okay, as you can see the video, the top left corner of the video, actually the person is picking the cup from the drawer and put it on the top of the table. So So if you look at the top left corner of each video, then it shows the so-called motion activities. And the bottom left corner, actually the person is flipping the book. So and we can do a very precise segmentation. So this segmentation can tell us the interaction between the left hand and the right hand, and also what are the objects between this left hand and the right hand. And here we use the left hand to clean the table, and we can show that the left hand and the right hand and the interaction. So based on all this research, we can try to record whatever we can do in a day. Then we can, for example, if we need to ask the intelligent agent or the AI agent, say what I have not been done, what I have been completed today or in this morning, then they can generate, for example, a short summary. Then especially it can be used for elderly person. So another research we focus in the autonomous driving. So okay. The current technology for autonomous driving is basically use the bird's eye view. There is a 2D technology. Bird's eye view means we can understand the traffic from the top view. Then the current autonomous driving is basically based on this top eye view to do the path planning. And our what we are trying to achieve is we make it from 2D to become 3D. So we will, based on so-called occupancy technology, that based on the 6 camera input, as you can see in the top left corner, each vehicle will install a 6 camera. And this camera can try to reconstruct the 3D occupancy. That means the 3D scene of the area that we can see. So the next step is based on this occupancy, that means a 3D traffic environment, we can use to predict the next second of the traffic scene. For example, laser pointer. Okay, for example, we have the last -1 second of the 6 traffic image obtained from the 6 camera, and also the current traffic scene. So based on this past 1 second input, we can use to predict, based on the 3D occupancy system, we can use to generate the 0.5 second, 1 second, 1.5 second, and 2 seconds. Based on all these predicted output, we can do our path planning as well as how to avoid the accident occur. So another research in our research focus is the embodied AI as well as the 3D computer vision. So if you look at the left-hand side image, so the top one is the 3D model, and the bottom one is we do the 3D object detection. So as you can see, each object can be segment. Each object can be segment and show it to the So as you can see that all the objects can be segmented and show and display it. So we can do very accurate segmentation. So especially for embodied AI or the robot application, then we need a very accurate segment such that we can, for example, if we ask the robot to go to somewhere to grasp the object, then we need a very precise 3D segmentation output instead of 2D. And the right-hand side, compared with the left-hand side, we use a point cloud. The right-hand side, we use an image. So based on the image input, we take a couple of images in the indoor environment. Then we can obtain the 3D object, just based on the image output. And we can combine all these output together to form this 3D object detection based on just based on a couple of images input. Okay, our future research actually is to develop the technology and use in the manufacturing, education, caregiving, as well as the transportation area. So if you look at the right-hand side images, all these images are generated image by AI. None of the image are designed by humans and are generated picture. So here are all some of the equipment that I show here. So with generous support from the Jockey Club, then we can buy a lot of very latest and state-of-the-art equipment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chow. Please be seated. The next presentation is by Professor Chen Qingyan, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Healthy Built Environment. Professor Chen, please.
Okay. Dear Mrs. San, Professor Wang, Dr. Low, my fellow directors, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my great pleasure to present to you this lab for healthy built environment. So our goal is to create an innovative solution for a healthy, comfortable, and energy-efficient buildings, especially built environment. Because if we look outside, we all have everything is a built environment here. So we wanted to engage the knowledge transfer activities by delivering the design tools, guidelines, and seminars, etc., as collaborating with the industry and the government. And then we also wanted to provide a healthy living and working environment for the Hong Kong citizens with lower energy consumption that will contribute to the carbon neutrality. Because in Hong Kong, 90% of electricity is used in buildings, and that is a big contributor for the carbon pollution. So in my team, we currently have some postdocs and also the PhD students. So we work on 3 different areas. The first one is high-performance buildings. We use Block Z as an example, try to develop advanced HVAC systems. We calculate we could save about 25% of our energy. So we all need Professor Dr. Low's support in the future. We also develop a new HVAC systems for residential homes. The second area of our research is on advanced ventilation systems for transportation vehicles. So on the top figure, we are now still working the advanced environmental control systems for Chinese COMAC next generation of aircraft C929. It's an intercontinental aircraft. In the lower part, due to the COVID and a lot of people get infected in the subways, now we are working on MTR cars, try to develop an immune system which will allow Hong Kong citizens to take the subways without worrying about influenza or future infectious disease. The third area we are working is on the healthy and resilient urban environment. Because of the global warming, like this year, we have a very high temperature, actually the highest temperature record for many days. And also in Hong Kong, the sea level is rising, and some seawater could get into the city. So we try to understand how to get the stormwater discharge as quick as possible. We also develop the pollution control method for the city. For example, in this chart we show, for example, this tunnel going to Hong Kong Island, how the pollution will affect the PolyU campus. So our current project, of course, deal with several new development, such as this gravity cabinet is a new type of air conditioning system, which will create a comfortable environment without feeling of a draft. Because I know, at least in my office, I always feel draft there, so I'll do something for myself at least. We also developed this radiant cooling panel overhead one, so that also can create a comfortable office environment. And especially for Block Z, we developed this newly type of air conditioning systems, which can use a much higher cooled water. That means a higher efficiency on the heat pump, which can save energy. So all the effort combined together, we studied the Block Z and also Building M. As an example, we find we can reduce the energy used by 50%. And the aircraft, we also have this study showing how people walking around and could cause the transmission of infectious disease. this is how a passenger moving in a cabin, which can create some type of wake behind. So we understand the mechanism of airborne infectious disease transmission. And then finally, this is some field measurement we have done on the Eastern Railway lines to understand the transmission. So don't be afraid of those viruses showing on the figure. Virus is not that big, okay? So, yeah. So with this, we believe we can reduce the transmissions of infectious disease. And then finally, we also use AI to try to study the building blocks as big, at least like a polyhedrocampus can be as big as a Kowloon. Try to understand how the pollutants are transmitted. So these are a very nice tool for us to create a healthy urban environment. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chen. Please be seated. May we now please invite Professor He Mingguan of the JC STEM Lab of Innovative Light Therapy for Eye Diseases to give us the presentation. Professor He, please.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you very much to Jockey Cup that enabling our innovative light therapies global STEM lab establishment. Today, I just briefly walk you through the ideas of why we developed this innovative light therapy for eye diseases, JC lab. So light is powerful. So in our previous study, we proved that we discovered a light on a specific wavelength, 650 nanometers, is able to stimulate the blood flow and the metabolism of the back of the eye. And then we use this as a unique opportunity to treat myopia. That causes a substantial control of the myopia progression and also reverse the myopia progression. So this is a very unique findings in terms of using a light therapy to treat eye diseases. So on the top of this, with the Jockey Cup support, we are able to expand this so that we can benefit more patients and more diseases. So with the support of a global STEM global STEM scheme, we're able to compose or convene as a very effective team by recruiting 3 researchers in professor, 3 or 4 research postdoc, and also a couple like 4 PhD students so far. So our ideas is, number 1, is to improve a current product that I just mentioned, this myopia control device. And secondly, we wanted to expand this to more diseases or more light therapy modality. I'm going to explain to you a little bit more detail later on. And then we want to understand what is the mechanism behind this, why this, using the light, again, light is so powerful. With the light, you're able to reduce the myopia progression, control myopia progression 100%, or even reduce or reverse myopia progression. We want to understand the mechanism. And then we want to expand this treatment, this light therapy, to more diseases, not beyond myopia, to glaucoma, to age-related macular degeneration, and so on. So this is we're running a research program at the moment with the support of the JC Cup and also Global STEM. In the previous 1.5 years, we're working on new treatment devices. We're also working on innovative other light modality. For example, the lighting, we work with the company on making this classroom or lighting system to develop a new lighting devices. We work with the computer, the screen manufacturer to make a new computer screen. That with that, you're able to the more you play the computer game, that the more likely you're able to control myopia. Isn't it the best word of the best world scenario? So then we also try to understand what's the pathway and mechanism of the retina, what happened on the retina, why this light therapy is able to control myopia progression. And then we also to border this light therapy to more ethnicity, more people in the world. So before we run the trial in Hong Kong, China, now we wanted to expand it to Europe, Australia, and many other countries. So I want to, as well as expand this, I just basically repeat what I just said, but then I just want to say thank you very much again. With the generous support from Jockey Cup, we're able to purchase all this equipment that's necessary for us to understand the mechanism, for example, this high-performance IT system and imaging system, so that we can develop a very complex technology to assess the retina response to the light therapy. And also with that, your support, we're able to prove it with the clinical trial. With that, I would like to say thank you very much again. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor He. Please be seated. Next, we have a presentation from Professor Liu Aichun, Director of the JC STEM Lab of Quantum Technology. Professor Liu, please.
Sure. Okay. Very good afternoon, distinguished guests, and Professor Wang, Dr. Low. And I represent for this new laboratory, the JC STEM Lab of Quantum Technology. This is very new technology, and we are set up the full program. At this moment, we're working on the quantum computer, we're working on quantum communication, quantum algorithm, and quantum machine learning. This is the first step. We move to this and the new things and carry on of this all the research in the Hong Kong. Today, I focus on introduce the first project of a quantum computer. Actually, this is a very challenging area. And so far, they have the different approach of a quantum computer, either ion track and superconductor and silicon technology, microelectronic technology computer. We are working on this on the first quantum computer today. I'm serious to make an announcement to all of you. The first quantum microprocessor, we are namely for this Hong Kong 1 and 香港1号 quantum computer demonstration by today. This is very powerful and quantum computer and also finish the algorithm to simulate of large scale structure of molecule space stream with this very high fidelity and around more than 90%. So this is we done in the Hong Kong also is the first time. And we also finish and another algorithm is graphy simulation of uses the quantum computer. So what is this? We are demonstrating first Hong Kong quantum computer in Hong Kong, supported by Jackie Club, by PolyU. Appreciate so much of all of you support to help. In future, we're going to build up a larger and larger cubic of quantum computer in the Hong Kong. We are competition with other country. We make big impact for the Hong Kong. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Liu. Please be seated. May we invite Professor Lo Camping, Director of the JC STEM Labs in 2D Quantum Materials, to give us the next presentation. Professor Lo, please.
Okay. Hi, very good afternoon, Professor Wong, Elsie Zhang, as well as Dr. Lo. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you my JC STEM Lab on 2D quantum materials. So the objective of the lab is to grow new materials that can serve as the hardware for spintronics. So using spin to store information instead of using electrical charge. So this is a faster way of storing information and a more energy efficient way. And we want to use the material also for artificial intelligence because we believe we can make very good FET based on this. Aim number 2 is that we want to carry out fundamental research to discover new physics in these 2D quantum materials that we can grow. So currently, the 2D quantum materials have been predicted to have a lot of wonderful properties, but there's no practical way of scaling them up for large area. So one of the aims of the lab is to grow large area 2D quantum materials. So the researchers that are engaged in this laboratory will necessarily gain the knowledge to work in the semiconductor industry because they have to work in a clean room, perform nanolithography, they have to learn vacuum techniques for growing thin films. So they will contribute to the technological hub in the Greater Bay Area for the future semiconductor development. So besides myself, We have several very high caliber colleagues from the applied physics department to join our team. For example, we have Professor Daniel Lau, the current head of the AP department, and we also have Dr. Kathy Kailing, as well as our work is actually backed up by theoretical work from two colleagues, Assistant Professor Yin Jin and Yang Ming, and we also have Research Assistant Professor Martin that assists with the large area growth. So we have managed to recruit a team of high caliber postdoctoral fellows and students to be engaged actively in the research program. So with the generous support from Jockey Club, we have established state-of-the-art facilities in this JC STEM lab. Basically, the funding from the JC STEM lab allow us to establish what we call a physical property measurement system that can go down to cryogenic temperature, like 1 Tesla, equipped with a 1 Kelvin, equipped with a 12 Tesla magnetic field. So this is the workhorse of the lab, allow us to discover many new physics. And also with the generous support from Applied Physics Department, we have also established many other state-of-the-art facilities. So this make the lab very competitive in the world to carry out research on topological quantum materials. So what are the current projects that we are doing? Some of the current projects we are doing are on the growth of new 2D quantum materials, as well as the device characterization. We are able to perform scanning tunneling microscopy to get atomic image of the material that we grow. For example, we have a PhD student, Zhang Honghao, recruited into this lab. He performed the CVD growth of 2-dimensional ferromagnet that's as thin as 1 or 2 atomic layers, and we have characterized the magnetic properties. Now, these materials are useful in magnetic memory storage and spintronics. And we also have the work carried out by PhD student Tang Chai-sheng, helped by postdoc Zhao Duo and Sharma. We have managed to grow by molecular beam epitaxy tellurium. So tellurium is a very interesting chiral semimetal. So when you inject charge into this material, the charge can be spin polarized, so we can use it in spintronics. And we have measured a very large nonlinear Hall effect in this material at room temperature, meaning that we can use this material for wireless power transfer technology. Basically, it can convert the Wi-Fi radiation in ambient to DC current. So basically, it can tap energy. It can be used in room temperature energy harvesting process. The recent breakthrough we achieved this year is that we have published a work in Science. For 1 century, material scientists have been growing inorganic perovskite or hybrid organic inorganic perovskite, but for the first time, as reported by the Croucher Foundation in Hong Kong, we have managed to grow all organic 2-dimensional perovskite. So this is a breakthrough in material science, and this material can be used as a 2-dimensional dielectric to enable 2D electronics. So it's quite important in the electronics application. So with this, I'd like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Law. Please be seated. The next presentation is by Professor Wen Qihao, Director of JC STEM Labs of Earth Observations. Professor Wen, please.
Okay, Professor Wang, Dr. Low, Mrs. Tseng, and distinguished guests, colleagues, students. Today, I'm honored here to introduce to you the JC STEM Lab of Earth Observation. We moved into this lab in March 2023. The lab was approved in July 2022. So currently we have over 20 people, lab members. Today we have some of those our lab members here. So over the past 2 years also, we have been working on different subjects, okay, within these Earth observations. Our goal is to build our lab to become a global research hub in Earth observation and remote sensing applications. We have 3 missions. Number 1, to conduct international leading high impact innovative research in Earth observations and application. Secondly, to facilitate interdisciplinary research for impactful research within and beyond poly-yield, and so that we can address the different environmental and societal issues. Number 3, to undertake activity of knowledge transfer, partnership, and dissemination of research results by working closely with stakeholders in Hong Kong, in GBA, in the nation and the world, so that we can improve the Hong Kong's visibility, reputation in Earth observation, geospatial, artificial intelligence, and related areas. So we have, as I mentioned, we have more than 20 members here to show some of our lab members. So our research focus on these 7 areas, but essentially we can divide these 7 areas into two groups. So the first group focus on technologies. The second group focus on applications. So for example, we integrate space-borne, airborne, and ground-based sensors so for the Earth observation. Secondly, we employ geospatial artificial intelligence, machine learning technology for image processing and interpretation. Also, we're not only working using the sensor from satellite or airborne sensors, but we also use the sensor from the ground-based. And as well as we use the people as sensors. So this is our technology for Earth observations. So it's a little bit different from traditional remote sensing. In terms of applications, we focus on in these 5 areas. Now these 5 areas particularly relate to the Hong Kong GBA environments. For example, our research focuses on the coastal and wetland environments. And also, we consider in the cloudy and rainy environment. So because of the Hong Kong in these regions and GBAs. And we try to solve these environmental issues, societal issues, particularly for those issues related to the urbans. So, so that the area of these researches, we will be able to assess many areas, for example, urban climate, environment, sustainability. And finally, all these applications, we want to link into this global international policy and national policy by working closely with United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. So I want to show a few examples here. Now, although we have these 7 research focus areas, our recent research is in the lab, basically focused on 3 areas. Okay. Number 1 is geospatial AI and Earth observation innovations. For example, we recently developed a 2.5 spatial resolution of data set. This is based on the deep learnings to provide the building heights across North America, Asia, and Europe. And this including more than 300 cities. Never done this before because of not only our resolution is high in terms of spatial resolution, so we can see all those buildings as long as larger than 2.5 meters by 2.5 meters, so we can estimate them high. And also we can see the variations. When you come to Hong Kong, the first thing you see is so many buildings. However, to give the number of these heights and variations, this is very important to estimate the building energies, urban planning, and many other issues related to the sustainable development. And so, second area we focus on the urban climate and environments. And so, for example, as earlier some of our fellow colleagues already mentioned, so the climate change has become a big concern. So use Earth observations we can solve many of those issues, not only provide data, tools, but also provide knowledge and important innovative solutions for climate change. One of our studies focuses on assessment of the urban heat risk. So urban heat risk, the important thing is that so the same heat, the same temperature has a different people, has a different meaning, has a different implication to different people, to different communities. So these things, this kind of consideration hasn't been done before. So we consider not only the daytime temperature, but also consider nighttime temperature. You may wonder why. Because of the nighttime temperature is more impactful to the human health. So this is an issue, so we say consider daytime and nighttime. So in terms of those exposures, we consider populations. So population data is also difficult to get. Although we can say, okay, in Hong Kong, in every small district, we can get the population data. However, it will be very difficult to get the timely real-time population data. For example, the populations in Hong Kong at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m., these are all different. How this population change? This change how the impact of the population exposures, so that have different health impact. So this also we consider when we have the heat risk, we have different meanings. Finally, we consider these vulnerability issues. Different people have different vulnerability group. For example, people has a pre-existing health conditions, and people living in the old buildings, or people has the poor socio-economic conditions, so they may suffer more. So we say this vulnerability also different. So when we consider evaluate these urban heat issues, use Earth observation data and geo-AI technologies, we consider all these three components together. And so the third example we want to mention is the urban sustainability. And so as we know that the United Nations in 2015 proposed that all the nations and globally to develop goals, 17 goals towards sustainable development. So one of the goals is sustainable community, sustainable cities. That's SDG 11. So we have been focused on this area by providing the data methodologies to assess urban sustainability. In our study, we evaluate in China over the past 30 years how the urban sustainable developments in terms of three components. One is land, one is population, one is economic development. How these three components interact, creating the dynamics of urban sustainability. So this is our third examples, okay? So we have many other more researches since we have already have been operating for 2 years, and we have so many people. So I provide here, there are a few more examples here. So how these, other projects may also helpful to you understand our lab. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Wen. Please be seated. Next, we would like to invite Professor Janelle York, from the director of the JC STEM Lab in Digital Oncology Care Enhancement, to give us the next presentation. Professor York, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and a special warm welcome to Miss Elsie Sang and for the support from JC Club. So I arrived in PolyU in January this year, and the JC funding was confirmed only a few months ago. So we've been busy doing the refurbishment to set up the STEM lab. But I'm absolutely delighted to be able to have 5 minutes to introduce the lab that I'm setting up here at PolyU. But I do just want to note that I am the only nurse academic to receive a Hong Kong government global STEM professorship, which also means I'm the only nurse who has the honour of being the director of a JC-funded STEM lab. So the lab is called Digital Oncology Care Enhancement, or DOSE for short. And I think this lab comes at a really critical time for the healthcare system in Hong Kong, where we're seeing an increasing number of people being diagnosed with cancer every single year. And that keeps increasing by about 10% every year. So healthcare systems are under a lot of pressure to deliver care and care pathways to these patients who are being diagnosed and now living with cancer. So we have to look at different ways to deliver this care that is still safe, it's still effective, but also efficient to the healthcare system. We can't keep seeing patients routinely face-to-face the way that we have been for many decades. So this dose lab is very much based on a lot of the work that I did in the UK to transform how we follow up patients and deliver care pathways in cancer care. So really, one of the key aspects of this dose lab is to try and keep patients at home, away from the hospital, keep them well at home for as long as possible. And by doing this, the lab will create a whole suite of different digital technologies so that we can monitor patients' symptoms, in particular of acute toxicities of cancer treatment, such as chemotherapy. So we can monitor patients remotely, and importantly, that information gets directly fed back into the electronic health record in the hospital system. And that's the real crux to really making this successful. But alongside that symptom monitoring to enable clinicians to make real-time clinical decisions about cancer treatment, we'll also implement and test a whole suite of different digital-based interventions to support patients to self-manage symptoms at home. And alongside of this, we'll also establish Hong Kong's first centre for patient and public involvement and engagement in research. So that means that we will have patients and members of the public as part of the research decisions that we make through the dose lab, and hopefully offer that service across Hong Kong. So this is the team. We've only just really establishing ourselves at the moment, but you can see I have members of, established members of the School of Nursing who are part of this team and taking up leadership roles. But we've also been very busy recruiting new members into the STEM lab as well. And we have Dr. Hamoda, who's our first research assistant professor into the lab. We have Dr. Kwan, both who are here today, and Dr. Kwan was actually my PhD student in Manchester University who helped with a lot of the analysis of the big data of the work that we were doing with symptom monitoring in Manchester, and he's now a postdoc fellow in the STEM lab. And we have PhD students starting in January this year, so a rapidly growing team. So just to reiterate some of the key aspects of the dose lab, quite a lot of the Jockey Club funding will be going into helping us to establish a really high-level statistical lab. So it's a dry lab. And we'll also be looking at creating innovative and advanced approaches to psychometrics. So it's not just about giving patients questionnaires to monitor symptoms, but we want to develop new advanced psychometric techniques that we can use to make sure that when we are assessing patients' symptoms, we're actually using very precise measurement theory to do this as precisely and as specifically as we can. And of course, once we get going in Hong Kong and we have this symptom monitoring, hopefully throughout the whole oncology ecosystem in Hong Kong, we will have an absolute wealth of data that we will be able to analyse using AI and machine learning to help us look at predictive models for patients who are more likely to complete their cancer treatment, and also help us to predict survival with different cancer treatments. And just finally, one project that we are in the process of setting up is related to the digital interventions research theme, and this is looking at testing a non-pharmacological intervention to help patients with lung cancer to manage their severe breathlessness. And we'll be doing neuroimaging pre and post the intervention to see how the intervention can change neural mechanisms. A lot of this work has been done in COPD, people with a chronic respiratory disease. No one has ever done brain imaging in patients with lung cancer or any cancer to look at the responses in the brain pre and post a non-pharmacological intervention. So lots of activity, lots of systematic reviews going on. We have been submitting external grants already. We're having lots of conversations with the health authority to see how we can get the remote symptom monitoring into the electronic health system in the HA. I can see lots of people nodding at me and smiling at me with that. And we're in the process of developing and looking at getting licenses for different patient-reported outcome measures to come into Hong Kong. And again, that's what the JC funding is helping us to do as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Professor York. Please be seated. Next, we would like to invite Professor Zhang Weixiong, the director of JC STEM Lab of Genomics in Healthcare, to give us a presentation. Professor Zhang, please.
Okay. Right. Welcome, everyone, particularly Ms. Chen and distinguished guests from Jockey Club. So my lab is pretty much digital and also in combination with molecular biology research. So it's an integration of two fields of studies. So our vision here is try to improve disease prevention and health outcome by developing advanced AI technology in combination with genetics, genomics technology. So it's a very much interdisciplinary field of research. So our objective here is to develop AI and genomic technology for medical data analysis and application. And also, at the same time, we want to investigate the etiology, the mechanism of diseases. And currently in my lab, we focus on 3 areas. I will mention on the next slide. And also try to identify diagnostic biomarkers and also therapeutic targets for treatment. So compared to the previous presentation, Dr. Yoke is focusing more or less on the patient care part, and where the work in my lab is a little bit in front. We try to take an angle from doctor's perspective, try to prevent and treat the patient. So the team right now already have a lab manager, Dr. Chu. She is a molecular biologist. So as I mentioned, it's a hybrid lab. Personally, I'm on the computational side, doing crunch numbers. And at the same time, Dr. Chu is helping me to run the wet lab. So during the tour, you will see how we run the operation. And at the same time, I already recruit a group of senior fellows, research fellows, including 1 IAP and 3 postdocs in the lab. And over the little bit more than 2 years, I recruit 15 postgraduate students and 3 IAPs in the lab. And along the way, I established collaborations inside Hong Kong with the people, in not only just in PolyU and also in Hong Kong U and Hong Kong Genomic Institute, and also collaboration with the Mainland Institute. So already built a team of close to 40 people. So regarding equipment, type of research, because I mentioned, because of interdisciplinary research, we pretty much rely on advanced technology and equipment. So I used some of the Jockey Club funding in combination with external funding and acquired 2 high-performance computing, 2 clusters of GPU machines. So on one side you can see that there's a indeed, this is from the central computing facility, but indeed my clusters takes 2 racks, okay, big ones. And also advanced molecular biology equipment, including the 3rd generation sequencer. Okay, so regarding the research, I've been here more than 2 years, so I secure total 6 external funded research projects, including 2 theme-based projects, and 1 NFC, and 2 CRF, and 1 HMF. These are all in the healthcare area. So I want to just highlight 2 of these. These are the theme-based. One is the strategic target grant for studying psychiatric disorders, developing AI technology for diagnosis and studying disease mechanism, plus for treatment. Another one, it's, I'm a co-PI on that one. It's also theme-based. In this project, we studied the health impact of PM2.5 pollutant, how they enter the human body and what kind of disease they can cause. So we are developing large language models. These are foundation models to analyze large quantity of chemical and molecular biology data. So that's one area. So give you a little bit flavor what we do in my lab. So this is a good example for a 5-year STG project. I'm the project coordinator on this one. So there are basically 3 components here. They go across very broad from genetics, genomics, molecular biology, epigenomics, also neuroscience, animal behavior, as well as on the clinical side, we are also building AI system to automatically generate a treatment plan. And this will go into 600 clinical trial, okay, in this study. So here, the goal, the objective or emphasis we hear now for psychiatric disorders, for instance, depression or schizophrenia. Most of the time these days, doctors basically look at the patient and they do the diagnosis, decide what treatment they can do based on the self-description of the symptom. Like, if the patient has a hallucination or lack of energy or activity, all those things. But most of the time, these are very subjective and noisy. So in this project, we propose to go the other way around. So my vision here is someday we can go into, for instance, I have a very little mood today. I can go into a clinic. The doctor can draw a blood from me or take a brain image from me and can decide what kind of problem I have. So it will be more accurate. It's like close to, we have a flu, we can do a lab test. But in psychiatric disorder, mental disorder these days, there's no such lab test can be done. So this is our vision. We are pushing for a paradigm shift from symptom-based to kind of objective diagnosis. So this is the area, and we are also spending, invest energy and resource here to look into the disease mechanism. Why early stage of stress can cause later on someone can become depressed. So we use a mouse model. We are building mouse model and also first stress it up and build a model. Then we take a brain image and also go into the single cell profiling to see what's going on at the brain image level, function level, all the way go down to the single cell level to see what's going on in the cell level. And we also will treat, after we build the model, make the animal depressed, then we'll treat it and recover the normal behavior, then also try to understand what the treatment can do at the molecular level. Okay, so that's what we're doing. Okay, with that, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zhang. Please be seated. Now, we have reached our most signature moment of today's occasion, the plaque unveiling ceremony. To celebrate this special moment, may we please invite Professor Jin Guangteng, President, Ms. Elsie Zhang, Professor Wing-Tak Wong, and the lab directors, Professor Chao Lap Pui, Professor Chen Xinyan, Professor He Mingguang, Professor Liu Aichun, Professor Luo Camping, Professor Wen Qihao, and Professor Janelle York, and Professor Zhang Weixiong. To the stage, please. Thank you. Now, may I invite our honorable guests to unveil the inauguration plaques. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations to the 8 labs on their inauguration. Let's capture this memorable moment with the group photo. Let's face the photographers in the front. Please face the photographers at the front. Could all honorable guests please stand closer to the backdrop? We would like now to invite Dr. Miranda Liu and Dr. Laura Lowe to join the stage for our last group photo. Thank you. Please all stand closer and face our photographer at the front. Thank you. Thank you. Could I ask all our honorable guests to return to their seats, please? This marks the end of our ceremony. Thank you all for joining us today. Now we will have our lab tour session. Please follow our staff. Thank you.